So I'm ready to put in the fin boxes. I'm going to put in the rail fin boxes. I'm using feature fin boxes, and the rail fin boxes and the center fin boxes are different. The rail fin boxes are 3/4 of an inch deep. The center fin box is 1/2 inch deep. So I've put in my markings for each rail fin. Here's one on the left side. Here's one on the right side. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure that when you mill the slot for the fin box at the appropriate depth, that it doesn't go all the way through the board onto the deck. So you want to make sure the board's thick enough. So to put in the fin boxes, I'm using a trimming router, 1/4 inch chuck, and I'm using this special 2-stage bit that I bought from Futures. It's called the 1-pass, and it puts in the narrow slot and the wide slot in one pass of the rotor. Yeah, I'm using this homemade router jig that I milled out of aluminum, and the router base fits snugly into the jig, and then it moves from a stop at the bottom along the length till it hits the end of the jig to stop at the top. And this will put in the exact length of the fin box that I need. Now let's talk a little bit about the future fins. You know, the rail fins are put in with a cant, right? It's tilted away from the stringer. Rather than being 90 degrees to the bottom of the board, it's tilted away. And on future fins, the cant is built into the fin. That means the tangs that on the bottom of the fin that fit into the slot in the fin box, they need to be mounted at 90 degrees to the bottom of the board. And the cant is then built into the fin. It's tilted with respect to the bottom of the fin that fits into the slot. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to put a level across the bottom of the board from rail to rail, and I need to level the blank on the stand so that it's level with respect to the earth. And I can do that by putting shims underneath the board, between the blank stand and the board. Okay, so I've put the router jig down onto the bottom of the board where the rail fin's going to go, and it just lays on the bottom of the board, and along the X direction, along the length of the jig, it's just going to follow the rocker. I'm not going to try to level the jig in the X direction. It's just going to sit on the rocker. On the other hand, across the jig in the Y direction, the jig should be level to the ground. So the board's been leveled to the ground, and I want the jig level to the board. Remember, the cant in the fin is from the bottom of the fin that sits in the slot, which needs to be level at 90 degrees to the board. So the jig has to be level along the Y direction. So I'm going to do this by putting shims underneath the jig appropriately to make it level across Y. On the jig, I've put a couple of centering marks. Here's one here, and there's another one on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a straight edge from center mark to center mark on the jig, and then I'm going to make sure that the straight edge follows right above the line on the blank that I put for the fin. Okay, so now the jig is centered properly in position. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to measure from one end of the jig to the end of the fin line on the blank, and I'm going to measure the other end of the fin line to the other end of the jig, and I'm going to make sure those two distances are exactly the same. Then I'm going to check everything again, the alignment, the level, and then I'm going to apply a perimeter of masking tape to hold the jig tightly down onto the blank. You don't want the jig to move when you're passing the router, obviously. So with the jig taped down tightly against the blank, I'm just going to check my measurements one more time. I'm going to put on my respirator, I'm going to turn on the router, take the front edge of the stand, put it at an angle into the jig, and then lower the bit into the blank, then make the pass. I'm going to do this in 2 or 3 passes, each time lowering the bit into the fin slot until I get the desired depth. So here I go. So there's the routed out fin box slot, and there's the fin box fitting nicely in the slot. The rim of the fin box is level with the bottom of the blank.